Well, good morning to you. This is God Talk. I'm Pastor Dan, and I don't really know exactly when all the programs are played because they go out at different times. As I tape this, we're a week away from Easter. And so just give me a chance to do a drama sermon that I do every once in a while. So let me be Pilate today. I am Pilate. Pontius Pilate, I was a Roman governor. For Judea, I could do whatever I wanted. I had a marble mansion at the beach. I had soldiers and servants. I just said whatever I wanted to say, snapped my fingers, and they would do it. If I wanted music, if I wanted to play, if I wanted women, I wanted food, whatever I wanted, I could have it. It's like the old joke, one of those Roman galley ships with the people rowing down in the bottom. The leader came down and he said, I got good news and bad news. The good news is the captain has said ice cream for everybody for lunch. Bad news, captain wants to go water skiing after lunch. I was asleep in the middle of the night. All of a sudden, aide came and shook me by the shoulder. Said, there's a crowd out on the judgment hall. You need to go. They're wanting you. I got dressed. I went out there. There's a big crowd. Priests. Here's this man dressed in white out in front. I tried to do the right thing. I said, what charges do you have against this man? And they tried to shout at me. He's a revolutionary. He wants to be a king. I told them, judge him by your own rules. No, we know you. You know we can't execute anybody. He didn't look like a criminal. Didn't look like what they said someone would do that. Didn't look guilty. Didn't have any evidence. You can't kill anybody with no evidence. There were rumors that he had been kind of a magician, walking on water and bringing people back from the dead, but no evidence of what they were talking about. I said, how about if I give you Barabbas? Barabbas was a terrible person, but they chose Barabbas. I don't know what to do. I had him whipped, hoping that would satisfy the crowd. He came back. You should have seen his back. It looked terrible. Been up all night. I went back out to the crowd and I said, what do you want me to do with him? Nothing could change. They shouted, crucify him, crucify him. I don't know what to do. In the middle of all that, I get a note from my wife. She writes a note. She says, don't do anything. Don't have anything to do with this man. I have been up all night. He's innocent. Now what am I going to do? I get this note from my wife. I've got this crowd. I don't want to start a riot. What am I going to do? Sent him over to Herod. Herod sent him back. Herod lined up sick people for him to do a miracle. He wouldn't do it, just stood there. What am I going to do? If I let him go, they'll send me back to Rome, or they'll kill me. What would you have done? I asked for a pail of water. I said, let me just wash my hands of this whole thing. It's on you. Not my problem. I could see my wife standing behind a pillar watching to see what I would do. I had played politics all my life. Do whatever the crowd wants. Do whatever will advance my career. When all of a sudden I said, no more. This ends right now. I shouted to the crowd to be quiet, and I said, now hear this. This man is innocent. He has done nothing wrong. You cannot crucify a man when he is innocent. You've brought no evidence. They said, crucify him. We'll call Caesar. We'll tell Caesar on you. We'll kill you. I didn't care. I felt more free than I had felt in my whole life. I took him back to the back. I had them bathe his back. I had them take care of it. It's hard not to think he might be who he said he was. I gave him 1,000 soldiers, sent him to Herod safely. I know you know what happened after he went to Herod. But I did not do it. It was not me. I didn't put Jesus to death. It wasn't me. I went back to my apartment. My wife hugged me. Finally, I stood up. We changed our clothes. We put on disguises. We went down into the crowd. No one knew who we were. We followed him. We followed him as he got the cross. We followed him as he carried the cross to the top of the hill. We watched them beat him. We watched them smash the crown of thorns. We watched them smash him into that cross with the nails. I didn't do it. That was not me. We watched him die. My wife in her dream had seen that there might be a resurrection, so we thought, let's go see what happens. We got up early Sunday morning. We went and hid where no one could see us. We were there. We saw the bright light. We saw the angels come and roll away the stone. We watched that Roman guard fall down, and we watched Jesus walk out. Wow. We found secretly where the upper room was. We went to them. We asked them a lot of questions about Jesus. I looked at Claudia, and she looked at me and said, you want to? Yeah, let's do it. And we became disciples of Jesus. Right then, Jesus walked in the door. We bowed before him. 2 nights before, I'm in front of a crowd handing him over to Herod. We gave our lives to Jesus. They took us out to the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus himself baptized us. We were followers of Jesus. We followed him for the rest of our lives. No, that's not what happened. It's what I wish had happened. How I wish that's what I had done. I washed my hands in that bowl of water. I thought maybe that would kind of get me away from this, but I could hear him being whipped. I have to take responsibility for that. He went to die on a cross. I'm a Roman. I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know what to do. Crowd shouting at me. If I could have found a way to save his life and mine, then I would have done it. But I couldn't figure out how to do it, so I saved my life. It's what I've always done. What we always do, isn't it? Take care of yourself. I have felt guilty for it for the rest of my life. You have no idea how many nights I've not been able to sleep, not been able to eat. I put Jesus to death. But be careful, my friends. Don't judge me. I know that I contributed to piercing him, that I'm part of that group. It says in Revelation, it says that every eye will see him and those who pierced him. That's me. You think you wash your hands in the bowl, like you're innocent, like you have nothing to do with this. Isaiah 53 says he was pierced for what? Our transgression. That's yours and mine. Don't tell me that you're innocent. You're guilty too. Jesus died for you and for me, our sins. Be careful how you judge me. I had the crowd yelling at me. We chose Barabbas over Pilate. Anytime you choose something over Jesus, you're doing a Pilate moment. You're doing the same thing I did. Barabbas over Jesus. My wife wrote me that, no, don't do this. This is wrong, honey. This is wrong. Don't do this. Anytime you hear that voice from the Holy Spirit, don't do this. This is wrong. But you do it anyway. You choose against Jesus. That's a Pilate moment. We all do it. Maybe there's not a crowd of 1,000 people shouting at you when you do it. Maybe you don't do it on the steps of the judgment hall. Maybe your story doesn't end up in a Bible that the whole world knows your name. But you're doing the same thing I did. You're choosing something over Jesus. That's us. You and me. Maybe you're thinking about baptism, but you step away. You don't do it. Maybe the voice tells you, don't do that on the Sabbath. This is a holy day, but you do it anyway. Maybe you're with a group of young people and you know you probably shouldn't, but I think it's okay to have a little drink with the young adults. It's all the same. Anytime we give in to the crowd, go along with the flow, anytime we bend and choose something over Jesus, it's a Pilate moment. Don't do what I did. Don't give in to the crowd. Stand up. How I wish I had just stood up when I had a chance at that crossroad moment when I could have done something. I should have stood up. I bailed out. Stand up for Jesus. When you're in a restaurant, be proud and bow your head and pray to Jesus. If your work asks you to work on the Sabbath, be proud to stand up and say, no, I can't. I just can't do that. When the crowd wants you to go along and have a drink or say this, or when everyone else is making fun of somebody and you say, not me. Stand up for Jesus. There's one other way the story could have gone. Some people think maybe it happened. We don't know. I did do what the Bible says. I did try to wash my hands, but that really doesn't work. I did let him get whipped. I did let him go to Herod. I did let him be crucified. I did. I admit it. I can't take it away. But I began to hear rumors that he was alive. And maybe this is true. I could not get his face out of my mind. I kept looking at him in my mind and looking. He's not a criminal. He didn't do this. The thought began to come to me that maybe he is who he said he was. He said, what is truth? I couldn't get that question out of my mind. How do you hide raising people from the dead? I mean, how do you fake that? They're dead and now they're alive. They came walking out. And I began to think maybe he's who he said he was. My wife and I got the disguises and we went and found Peter. We went and found Peter and saw him secretly. I'm the Roman governor. We asked Peter a bunch of questions and Peter told us his story. Jesus told him that he was going to deny him. He said, I'll never do it. And Peter says, I did it anyway. I did it anyway. I told them I would never do it. But I heard the voices of the crowd. I had these people say, you're one of them. I went with the crowd. I understood that. But he said, I saw the face of Jesus. Didn't judge me. Didn't cast me off. Forgave me. And I heard Jesus on the cross say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Well, that's me too. Not just the people that are killing him. That's me. Father, forgive them. That's me. And Peter said, if Jesus can forgive me, he can forgive you. Jesus forgave me for having him whipped. Jesus forgave me for having him crucified. Jesus forgave me for all of it. And Claudia and I became disciples of Jesus. We went out to the Sea of Galilee and Jesus baptized us himself. We were part of that group that had 40 days with Jesus. We were on top of the mountain when Jesus went back to heaven. And I stood up for Jesus the rest of my life. We went all over the world. I traveled. We walked. I wasn't a Roman governor anymore. I didn't have the marble palace. I didn't have any of that. And there were those who still said, you're the one who did it. I had to admit that, but I stood up for Jesus the rest of my life. Can I encourage you with that? Whenever those choices come, when those crossroad moments come, sometimes they're obvious, okay, hear this. Time to stand up. Other times it's just quiet little moments. And you have to stand up to say, I am a follower of Jesus. Yes, I am one of them. Yes, I'm a disciple of Jesus. If you have to make a stand at work, if you have to make a stand on a church board when some people are moving a direction that you don't think is Jesus, stand up. In your politics, you don't just go with the flow. You do what you think Jesus would do. In your finances, you take a stand with Jesus. Can you do it? Maybe some of you have never been baptized. It's hard to change everything. Go into the water and say to whoever is there, I am proud to be a follower of Jesus. You think about some of the moments in movies. Thought about a movie called Dead Poets Society. Robin Williams was a great English teacher, and he would get up on top of the desks, and he would stand there, and they would look at him as he would teach. Finally, there was a crisis. He got fired from the school. The principal is trying to take his place, hopeless. Robin Williams walks in to get his things. One student wants to make a protest and honor, stands up on his desk. Second one stands up. Pretty soon, almost the whole class. The principal is there. You come down from there yelling at him. They are proud to stand up for him. Maybe you've seen God is Not Dead movies. Pretty powerful. I've only seen the first one. The teacher's an atheist. Wants everyone to sign a statement that God is dead. There is no God. He's a Christian. He wants to make a speech, stand up for his faith. And the teacher says, you'll get 10 minutes, whatever it was, make a speech for your faith. But if you can't get anybody to agree, then you get an F for the class. He prepares for weeks. Finally gets in front of his kids, like secular college, makes his speech for Jesus, for God. And when he is done, he makes an appeal. Is there any of you that have heard what I had to say? Maybe that's true. Camera pans over all these faces, just American college kids. Finally, after agonizing, one Chinese student stands up. And he actually, the actor himself, is a Christian, a follower of Jesus. I've watched his testimony. Now the girl stands up. Before they were done, the whole class stood up. By the end of the movie, the teacher came over to Jesus too. The power of standing up. Declaration of Independence. All you know is England. All you know is this. And you don't have to do this. You're rich. You can manage this. But to sit down there and sign your name. And John Hancock says, I'm going to sign it big enough for King George to see my name. Stand up. We all owe our country. My son, once in a while has moments. Told us the other day he's over teaching PE, athletic director at Thunderbird Academy in Arizona. Catholic school called and said, we don't play boys and girls on the same field. My son's team does. Would it be okay if your girls did not play this one game? Otherwise, we have to forfeit. They only had one girl playing. Alex went to the girls and said, what do you want to do? I said, I'm okay to sit out, coach. Wasn't one of the stars. The mother called my son and he said, that's not right. Don't give in to that. The captain of the team came to Alex and said, Coach, that's not right. We can't do that. She's our team. And they talked about it. They kindly said, okay, we will stand. Called that coach up and said, we're sorry. She plays. Stand up. Tell you some other stories. He had a test. He had to take that was going to be on the Sabbath for graduate school, I think, GRE something. And it was going to be on Saturday. He came to me and said, Dad, I got to take this test. I said, you don't have to take the test on Saturday. He said, yes, Dad. I said, you can file a document and you call them up and you say, I want to take it on a Sunday location. You can do that? I think so. So he wrote the letter, stood up, proud of him. Stand up. It's everywhere in the book of Revelation. Everywhere you look in the whole book of Revelation, people are standing. You go, Revelation 7, the great multitude that no one can number. What do they do? They're all standing for God. You go to Revelation 14, there's a whole crowd standing around the throne of God. Go to Revelation 15, there's a whole crowd standing on the sea of glass. In the Old Testament, Moses would go out to the crowd. Who will stand for God? Come over the line. Step over the line. Stand up. Daniel 3, those three young men stood up against the image for Babylon. We'll give you one more chance. Doesn't matter. You can give us another chance. Our God can rescue us. But we want you to know, okay, even if He does not, we will never bow down. Stand. Daniel 6. They make a law. You can't pray to anyone except the king. Goes back to his room. What are you going to do? Lions are roaring. You're going to take a stand. You're 1,000 miles away from your home. No one will know. You've lived for God all your life. This one time. Go to the bedroom. You're going to go to the window. Is it okay to pray in the bedroom? Yes, it is. Jesus said to pray in your bedroom. Yes, fine. But when you have been standing, praying at the open window all your life for 80 years, now it's not okay to go to the bedroom and hide. Opens up the window, prays, stands up. You think of all the other people in history that have taken a stand. The Martin Luther kinds of stands. Read the agony that Abraham Lincoln went through. Read through the years as he moved in his inner belief. And finally, against people in his own cabinet, writes down the Emancipation Proclamation and says, I have to do the right thing. And 160 years later, we have a Lincoln Memorial. Now his face is on top of Mount Rushmore. But he didn't know any of that was going to happen. He had to take a stand. Gandhi, I've been to his places in India. I've been to where he was incarcerated. I've been to the spot on the sidewalk where he was killed. I've been to his grave many times. Stood up. Wonder how many times I haven't stood up. Went with the crowd, went with the voices, went along with the people. If Pilate could be here again today, he would say to you, stand. Please stand up. Don't think that you can wash your hands away. And there will be a time at the end of this world, at the end of the showdown, when there will have to be a final answer. There will be no sitting on the fence. There will be no middle ground. There will be no sitting up in the bleachers. The famous quote, Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena, got to get in the game, got to take a stand, one way or the other, sheep or the goat, the left and the right, follower of Jesus. You will either be on the side of fighting for Jesus or you will be in the army fighting against Jesus. You have to take a stand. I can just beg you today, my friends on God Talk, start now, if you haven't already, to take stands. Next time you're in a Sabbath school class or Sunday school class, you hear something that doesn't sound quite right, take a stand. Next time you're in a hospital room and someone says something that really is not God, whatever God's will is, someone dies, God took them, take a stand. Take a stand. Anytime someone gives you the wrong amount of money, small, doesn't matter, who cares? Take a stand, go back, take care of it. Do the right thing. Tell the truth, even if it's going to be embarrassing. Take a stand. Pilate would say, let's take a stand for Jesus. He took a stand, got up there on that cross for you and for me. I'm going to be willing to take a stand for him. What LLBN does, not easy, to take a stand. This is God Talk. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week. God bless.